What's up, everyone? Today we have an unusual one. We have a 2012 Prius and the four-way lights are blinking, or hazard lights, whichever you want to call them. This was actually dispatched to a coworker, and I was giving him a hand diagnosing this. So I'm going to show you the steps we took to diagnose this. It's already diagnosed, but I wanted to take you all along because it was a pretty cool diagnosis, and I wanted to show it with you all. So first thing we're going to do is pull up our multimeter, and we're going to check the voltage to this switch with the wiring diagram. Even if I hit my buttons, my hazard lights continue to flash. Now, you can also see that when I hit my hazard button, my voltage drops to 0, just like it should. So I wanted to quickly show you all how this circuit actually works. So on another page to our right is all of our actual lights blinking. Our turn signal switch is commanding our hazard lights to flash. Now, on this hazard light switch, what is really taking place here is we have 12 volts coming in, going through a resistor. All right? So what we actually have on this circuit is 12 volts going through a resistor, going into our switch that goes to ground. What this computer, this turn signal flasher, actually looks for is if this switch here is open, we should have 12 volts on this side of the circuit. Once this switch closes, we should drop down to 0. Now, when I hit this button, you were able to see that my voltage dropped down to 0 volts. But the problem is, when my switch was open, we only had 3 volts going to it. So with our turn signal flasher seeing 3 volts on this circuit, must have been low enough for the turn signal flasher to decide to turn the flashers on. So what we're going to do, just to make sure there's not a resistance short in this flasher, is just unplug it. It's an easy test to do, and we should see our voltage come up to 12 volts. If I can unplug it. All right, it's unplugged. And we still have 3 volts on here. Our flashers are still blinking even with this switch unplugged. You can see our switch is unplugged. We're still flashing. So knowing what we knew our issue was going to be somewhere in this circuit between the turn signal ECU or the hazard light switch. Now, with that said, there's potential that there could have been corrosion inside this turn signal flasher that was dropping this voltage down. We unplugged it, we examined the board, it all looked good. And at that point, we knew that our issue had to be within these 2 components. So we wanted to look at this junction connector. Now, this is junction connector number 3, which is in a terrible spot. This here's in the dashboard, and a lot of Toyota junction connectors aren't really user-friendly as far as like testing electrical components there. But, let me go back to that page. What we did find was that this wiring diagram was completely incomplete. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this in the video, but we have connector 3A and 3A. So we have this power coming into 3A and out 3A. Comes in pin 38 and out 14. So we wanted to farther look at this junction connector. All right. So like we said, it comes into 38 and goes out to 14. Right? So in 38, out 14. But what we also noticed that is not on this wiring diagram is pin 64 and pin 4 is also on this same circuit. So pin 63 goes to the main body ECU, and pin 4 on 3B goes to our skid control ECU. And this is not on the Toyota nice wiring diagram. So we grabbed the wiring diagram for the skid control ECU, and we verified that this does have a hazard signal to it. Now, this is not a control wire. This here's an input to the skid control ECU. When this switch closes, it sends in an input. This skid control ECU is also looking for that voltage to know if the hazard lights are on. So What we wanted to do was quickly verify that our skid control ECU was not shorted out, causing this problem. Our skid control ECU is down here below the windshield cowl. And if we just unplug this, as soon as it's unplugged, you'll see that our hazard lights go out. See that? No more. You'll also see that our voltage came back up to the 12 volts that I mentioned it should be at earlier. Now, I guess this video, it's not going to be super fancy or anything. It's quick, dirty. Just wanted to get the point across to be careful with wiring diagrams, especially when they go through junction connectors. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I was helping my coworker, I was getting my butt kicked, not realizing what was going on. I knew that this circuit, there was an issue with that circuit, but it took us a long time to realize that this circuit ran to other components. Now, what we actually found that helped us tremendously was there was another wiring diagram that I found. And it is not as nice of a wiring diagram that Toyota gives us. It's not an interactive wiring diagram like we have. So Toyota provides us with some pretty nice interactive wiring diagrams where we can click a component, tells us what it is, gives us pinout right there. It's all quick and easy. But they also give us access to an overall wiring diagram. And the overall wiring diagram is actually where we ended up finding that this junction connector went to multiple components. So I'll give you a shot of this other wiring diagram. So this here is the overall wiring diagram for the hazard lights. You see our hazard light circuit comes down out of our turn signal switch, and you can see here that it splits off into 4 directions. One to the hazard switch, one to the main body ECU over here, and one to the skid control ECU. So this here is how we ended up finding this. So this is the first time we've seen this issue on a Toyota, but surprisingly, 1 or 2 days after we originally diagnosed this car, I got another Prius with the same issue. So I knew where to look. It was an easy diag that time, and I won on that one, right? So you win some, you lose some. But I just wanted to show you all. I guess this was a pretty cool diag. Skid control ECU is holding down that voltage in that circuit, causing your hazard lights to stay on. It's not something you're going to see every day, but just wanted to share it. I guess also share to be careful with wiring diagrams. Even OEM ones don't always give you all the information you need. So I hope you all enjoy that, and I'll catch you all next time.